So communication is a really key part of leading through change, and it's an area where a lot of organisations, a lot of leaders fall down. The reality is you can probably never over-communicate. Communicating the purpose and the reason why we're doing something is really important. I see lots of organisations who talk about what we're going to do. Quite often they can't work out how they're going to do it, but they certainly don't know why they're doing it. And it's a really key part, that ability to impart context for the rest of the team is really, really key for a role of leadership. So to bring this to life, we worked with a client recently with their leadership team, and they had some great values, right? They'd created, new CEOs come in, created some new values. One of those values was servant leadership, a fantastic thing to talk about, right? Rather than command and control, we'll talk about servant leadership. The session we ran with them was helping them take values, which are quite broad in their status and very open to interpretation. Every single person can interpret servant leadership in their own way. And therefore, this is where we get a lack of alignment, lack of communication, lack of expectation and reality coming through. So what we did a really interesting activity where we helped his extended leadership team, around about 30 people, and we had a session where we started to break these down into observable behaviours. What do we really mean by servant leadership? What would we see happening if we would call this a company that exhibits servant leadership? And what's fascinating about that activity is, and it doesn't take very long, is that you realise that everyone has a completely different view of what it means, that actually there is some common ground that they can get to, and only when we get down to an observable level of behaviour, in other words, something we know someone is doing, and we could therefore sort of measure it, its frequency or its effectiveness, that we start to get alignment across the team and we start to get that real clarity around expectation. Fascinating activity. One of the comments the CEO said, I've been here 3 months, I've talked about servant leadership many times. He said, and I've now realised I didn't tell anyone what that really meant to me. And I said, and that was a really fundamental part of this. Everyone's been nodding, but interpreting that in their own way.